The boy stood in the doorway, rain streaming down his face, clutching a torn teddy bear to his chest. His voice cracked through the thunder. "Mommy's gone. She told me to find you. Please, can you be my daddy?" Marcus Stone hadn't spoken to another human being in 3 years. Now, a 6-year-old child was calling him father. And those eyes, God help him, those were Sarah's eyes. Before we continue, tell me where in the world you're watching from today. Subscribe now and stay until the end. Comment your city below so I can see how far this story travels. Now back to the story. Marcus lifted the whiskey bottle to his lips, but his hand stopped halfway. The knock came again, weak, desperate, like something dying on his doorstep. Nobody knocked on his door. Nobody had knocked on his door in 3 years. The nearest town was 12 miles east, and Marcus Stone had made damn sure everyone in Billings knew to stay away from the old biker on Miller's Ridge. He set the bottle down hard. Glass clinked against the wooden table. The knock came a third time. "Who's there?" His voice came out rough, unused. He couldn't remember the last time he'd spoken aloud. No answer. Just the howling wind and the steady drumming of rain against the roof. Marcus pushed himself up from the chair. His knees popped. His back ached. 52 years of hard living had carved themselves into every joint, every muscle. He grabbed the baseball bat leaning against the wall, old habit from old days, and moved toward the door. Lightning flashed. Thunder rolled across the Montana sky. He unlocked the deadbolt, pulled back the chain, opened the door 6 inches, just enough to see. Nothing. Just darkness and rain. Then he looked down. The boy couldn't have been more than 5 or 6, soaking wet, shivering so hard his teeth chattered. His dark hair was plastered to his forehead, and his clothes, a thin jacket, jeans, sneakers that had seen better days, were completely soaked through. In his arms, he clutched a ragged teddy bear missing one eye. But it was the boy's face that made Marcus's heart stop. Those eyes, green with flecks of gold. He knew those eyes. "Please," the boy whispered. His voice was barely audible above the storm. "Mommy told me to find you. She said, you're my daddy." Marcus's grip on the bat loosened. It clattered to the floor. "What did you say?" "Mommy's gone." Tears mixed with rain on the boy's cheeks. "She went to sleep and she didn't wake up. She told me if anything ever happened, I should find you. She said you'd take care of me." The boy held up a crumpled envelope in his trembling hand. "She said to give you this." Marcus stood frozen for a full 5 seconds. The rain poured in through the open door, soaking the wooden floor, but he didn't move. Couldn't move. A child, standing on his doorstep, calling him daddy. It wasn't possible. It couldn't be possible. "Get inside." The words came out before his brain caught up. "You're gonna freeze to death." The boy hesitated, eyes wide and uncertain. He looked past Marcus into the dark cabin, then back up at the stranger towering over him. "It's okay." Marcus forced his voice softer. "I'm not gonna hurt you. Just get inside. Get warm." The boy shuffled forward, leaving wet footprints on the floor. Marcus closed the door against the storm and turned to look at him properly. In the dim light of the cabin, the resemblance hit him even harder. The shape of his jaw, the way his chin tilted up when he was trying to be brave. And those eyes, Sarah's eyes, staring up at him with a mix of fear and desperate hope. "What's your name, kid?" "Ethan." The boy's voice trembled. "Ethan Parker." "Parker," Marcus repeated. "Your mama's name, was it Sarah?" The boy nodded, and fresh tears spilled down his cheeks. "She told me about you. She said you were brave. She said you saved people." Marcus's legs went weak. He grabbed the back of his chair to steady himself. Sarah Parker. Blonde hair that caught the sunlight. A laugh that could fill any room. The only woman who'd ever made him want to be something better than what he was. That was 25 years ago. A lifetime ago. "How did you get here?" Marcus asked. "Where did you come from?" "We lived in Billings." Ethan clutched his teddy bear tighter. "Mommy got really sick. She couldn't get out of bed anymore. Yesterday she... His voice broke. His small shoulders shook with sobs. Marcus stood helpless. He hadn't touched another human being in years. Hadn't comforted anyone since, no. He wasn't going to think about that. But this was a child. A terrified, grieving child who had walked God knows how far through a storm to find him. He grabbed the blanket off the couch and wrapped it around Ethan's shoulders. The boy flinched at first, then leaned into the warmth. "Easy," Marcus said. "You're okay. You're safe now. Please don't send me away." Ethan's words came out in a rush. "Mommy said you wouldn't. She said you'd take care of me. She promised." Marcus felt something twist in his chest, something he hadn't felt in a very long time. "I'm not going to send you anywhere tonight, okay? First we get you warm, get you something to eat. Then we're going to figure this out." He found crackers in the cabinet, a can of soup he'd been saving for emergencies. While the soup heated on the stove, he dug out some of his old clothes and helped Ethan change out of his soaked jacket and jeans. The sweatshirt hung past the boy's knees like a dress, but at least it was dry. Ethan sat at the kitchen table, steam rising from the bowl in front of him. He ate slowly, mechanically, his eyes fixed on some distant point. Marcus sat across from him, the crumpled envelope clutched in his hands. He recognized the handwriting on the front. His name, Sarah's hand. His heart pounded as he opened it. "Marcus, if you're reading this, I'm gone. I'm so sorry. There's so much I should have told you, so many years I wasted being afraid. Ethan is your son. He was born 7 months after you left. I never told you because I knew the life you were living. I knew the danger. I wanted to protect him from that world. But now I'm out of time and there's no one else. My parents are gone. I have no siblings. The only person who ever made me feel safe, truly safe, was you. I know you're not the same man you were. I've kept track of you over the years. I know you left the club. I know you've been alone for a long time. Maybe you think you deserve that. You don't. Ethan knows about you. I've told him stories since he was old enough to listen. He calls you his Papa Bear because I told him you were big and gruff but gentle underneath. He believes in you, Marcus. I believe in you. Please don't let him go into the system. Please don't let strangers raise our son. Take care of him, and take care of yourself. I love you. I never stopped." Sarah. Marcus read the letter twice, 3 times. The words blurred as moisture gathered in his eyes. Our son. He looked up at Ethan, who had stopped eating and was watching him with those green-gold eyes. "What does it say?" the boy asked quietly. Marcus folded the letter carefully. "It says your mama loved you very much." "I know that." Ethan's voice was small but steady. "What else?" Marcus took a deep breath. It says, you really are my son." A flicker of something crossed Ethan's face. Relief. Hope. Fear. "So you'll keep me. You won't send me away." "I don't." Marcus stopped, started again. "Listen, Ethan, I haven't." How could he explain? How could he tell this child that he was the last person on earth who should be raising a kid that he'd spent 15 years destroying himself because he couldn't live with who he'd been? That every morning he woke up surprised, he'd made it through another night. But Ethan was looking at him with such desperate hope, such absolute trust, that the words died in his throat. "We'll figure it out," Marcus said finally. "One step at a time, okay?" Ethan nodded solemnly. Then, without warning, he slid off the chair and walked around the table to where Marcus sat. Before Marcus could react, the boy wrapped his thin arms around him in a hug. Marcus froze. His arms hung at his sides, uncertain. "Thank you," Ethan whispered against his chest. "Thank you, Papa Bear." Something cracked inside Marcus Stone. Something that had been frozen solid for 15 years. Slowly, awkwardly, he brought his arms up and hugged his son back. Morning came gray and cold. The storm had passed, leaving behind a world washed clean, but still heavy with damp. Marcus woke with a start, disoriented. He'd fallen asleep in his chair, and his neck screamed in protest as he turned his head. Ethan was curled up on the couch, still wrapped in the blanket, his teddy bear tucked under his chin. For a moment, Marcus just watched him breathe, in and out, peaceful in a way Marcus hadn't felt in years. Then reality crashed back in. He had a son, a 6-year-old son he'd never known existed. A child whose mother had just died, who had walked through a storm to find him, who was now sleeping on his couch expecting Marcus to somehow take care of him. Marcus looked around the cabin with fresh eyes. Empty bottles everywhere, dirty dishes piled in the sink, motorcycle parts scattered across every surface, dust thick enough to write your name in. This wasn't a home. This was a place where a man came to die slowly. He'd have to change everything, clean the place up, get food, clothes for Ethan, enroll him in school. The thought made Marcus's stomach clench. He didn't know how to raise a child. He didn't know the first thing about being a father. His own old man had been a drunk who used his fists more than his words, and Marcus had sworn he'd never have kids because he knew he'd turn out just the same. And now here was Ethan, trusting him completely, believing the stories Sarah had told him about a man who didn't exist. Marcus was still spiraling when Ethan stirred on the couch. The boy's eyes opened slowly, and for a moment he looked confused. Then memory returned, and his face crumpled. "It wasn't a dream," he said quietly. "Mommy's really gone." Marcus moved to the couch and sat on the edge. "Yeah, buddy, she's really gone." Tears slid down Ethan's cheeks. "I tried to wake her up. I shook her, but she wouldn't open her eyes. I called 911 like she taught me, but by the time they came..." His voice dissolved into sobs. Marcus did the only thing he could think of. He pulled Ethan onto his lap and held him while he cried. "I know," he said, his own voice rough. "I know, son. It hurts. It's gonna hurt for a while." "Why did she have to go?" Ethan wailed. "Why couldn't she stay?" "I don't know. I wish I did. But she loved you more than anything in this world. She loved you so much, she made sure you'd be taken care of. She sent you to me." Ethan looked up at him, eyes red and swollen. "Are you gonna love me too?" The question hit Marcus like a physical blow. Was he capable of that? After everything he'd done, everything he'd been, was there enough left in him to love this child the way he deserved? He looked into Ethan's eyes, Sarah's eyes, and made a decision. "Yeah, buddy." His voice cracked on the words. "I'm gonna try." The first challenge came faster than Marcus expected. He'd driven Ethan into Billings to get some of his things from the apartment. The landlord, a heavyset woman with suspicious eyes, had already called the authorities. "You can't just take him," she said, blocking the doorway. "Child Protective Services is on their way. I'm his father. You got proof of that." Marcus had the birth certificate. Sarah had put his name on it, bless her, but the landlord wasn't satisfied. She made them wait in the hallway while she kept one eye on them as if she expected Marcus to grab Ethan and run. He thought about it. God help him, he thought about it. 20 minutes later, a county car pulled up. A woman stepped out, clipboard in hand, sharp eyes taking in everything. Her badge identified her as Linda Blackwell, Child Protective Services. "Mr. Stone." Her voice was cold, professional. "I'm going to need you to come with me to the office. We have some questions." "Am I under arrest?" "No, but if you don't cooperate, I can make arrangements." She looked at Ethan, and something in her expression softened slightly. "Hello, sweetheart. Are you okay?" Ethan pressed himself against Marcus's leg. "I want to stay with my daddy." Mrs. Blackwell's eyebrows rose. "Your daddy, Mr. Stone, the child's mother, just passed away. You'll understand we need to verify your claim before we can allow him to remain in your custody. What's there to verify? His birth certificate has my name on it. That's a start, but there are other considerations. Your background, your living situation, your ability to provide for a child." She consulted her clipboard. "Our records show you have a criminal history. Assault, battery, association with a known criminal organization." Marcus felt his jaw tighten. That was 15 years ago. Nevertheless, the state takes the welfare of children very seriously. She turned to Ethan with a practiced smile. "Don't worry, honey. We're going to make sure you're somewhere safe." "I'm safe with my daddy." Ethan's voice was small but firm. "Mommy said so. Mrs. Blackwell's smile faltered. I'm sure she did, sweetie, but sometimes grown-ups have to make sure. They spent 4 hours at the county office. Marcus answered the same questions over and over. When did you last see Sarah Parker? Did you know about the child? Where do you live? What do you do for income? The answers weren't good. He'd last seen Sarah 25 years ago. He hadn't known about Ethan. He lived in an isolated cabin with no steady job. His income came from occasional mechanic work cash under the table and a small disability check from an old motorcycle accident. Mrs. Blackwell's expression grew grimmer with each answer. Mr. Stone, I'm going to be frank with you. Based on your history and current circumstances, I have serious concerns about placing a child in your care. He's my son. Biologically, yes, but being a parent requires more than DNA. Marcus leaned forward, his hands flat on the table. What do you want from me? What do I have to do? For the first time, Mrs. Blackwell hesitated. You'll need to demonstrate that you can provide a stable, safe environment. That means a clean home, reliable income, and a support system. You'll need to enroll him in school, get him into counseling for his grief, and maintain regular check-ins with our office. Fine. I'll do all of it. I'm giving you 30 days, Mr. Stone. At the end of that period, I'll conduct a home assessment. If I'm not satisfied, Ethan will be placed in foster care pending a more permanent arrangement. Marcus's blood ran cold. You can't take him. Sarah wanted him with me. Sarah's wishes are one factor among many. Mrs. Blackwell stood. You have 30 days. I suggest you use them wisely. Calm. The drive back to the cabin was silent. Ethan sat in the passenger seat, clutching a small bag of belongings they'd managed to retrieve from the apartment. Some clothes, a few books, a framed photo of Sarah. Are they going to take me away? Ethan asked quietly. Marcus gripped the steering wheel until his knuckles turned white. No. But that lady said, I don't care what she said. I'm not letting them take you anywhere. Ethan was quiet for a moment. Then, Mommy said you were stubborn. Despite everything, Marcus felt his lips twitch. Your mommy was right. She said it was one of your best things, that when you decide to do something, nothing can stop you. Marcus looked over at his son, 6 years old, wise beyond his years, carrying a grief no child should have to bear. She said that, huh? Ethan nodded. She said lots of things. She said you were the bravest man she ever met. She said you protected people who couldn't protect themselves. She said you had a good heart, even if you didn't believe it. Marcus's vision blurred. He blinked hard, focusing on the road. Your mama always did see the best in people. She saw it in you. Ethan reached over and put his small hand on Marcus's arm. And I see it too. So, back at the cabin, Marcus stood in the doorway and saw his home through Ethan's eyes. The clutter, the filth, the emptiness. It wasn't just dirty. It was the home of a man who had given up on living. Okay, he said more to himself than to Ethan. We've got work to do. They started that afternoon. Marcus cleared out the empty bottles. There were more than he wanted to count, while Ethan helped by putting his few belongings in the spare room. The bed in there was covered in motorcycle parts, which took another hour to sort and move to the garage. By evening, the cabin looked marginally better. Still rough, still bare, but at least livable. Are you hungry? Marcus asked. Ethan shrugged. A little. The refrigerator held beer and expired milk. The freezer had a bag of ice and nothing else. Marcus sighed heavily. Come on, kid. We're going to town. The grocery store in Billings was called Henderson's Run by the same family for 3 generations. Marcus hadn't been there in over a year, preferring to survive on canned goods and whatever he could scavenge. Walking through the doors with Ethan at his side, he felt every eye in the place turn toward them. Whispers followed them down the aisles. Is that Marcus Stone, the biker? What's he doing with that child? Someone should call the police. Marcus kept his head down and grabbed a cart. Bread, peanut butter, jelly, milk. He tried to remember what kids ate and came up blank. Do you like cereal? He asked Ethan. Cheerios, the honey kind. Marcus found the cereal aisle. Reached for the box. A woman yanked her daughter away from him like he was contagious. Excuse me. she said icily, pulling the girl behind her. Marcus said nothing, just put the cereal in the cart and moved on. At the checkout, the cashier, a teenager with acne and nervous eyes, scanned their items as fast as possible, clearly wanting them gone. "That'll be $42.17. Marcus pulled out his wallet, counted the bills. $38. He stared at the number, his face burning. "Sir, $42.17. I heard you." He looked at the items bagged on the counter. What could he put back? The milk. The bread. Here. A weathered hand slapped a $20 bill on the counter. Marcus turned to see an old man behind him in line, tall, silver-haired, with the build of someone who'd worked hard all his life. He wore a veteran's cap and a faded denim jacket. "I got it covered," the old man said. "I don't need—" "Boy, just take the help and move on. Line's backing up." Marcus hesitated, then nodded stiffly. "Thank you." The old man's eyes moved to Ethan. "This your kid?" "Yeah." A ghost of a smile crossed the old man's weathered face. "He's got good eyes. Kind eyes." He looked back at Marcus. "Don't see many of those these days." That night, Ethan fell asleep early, exhausted from the day's events. Marcus sat at the kitchen table, Sarah's letter spread out before him. "Please don't let him go into the system." The words echoed in his mind. The system. Foster care. Strangers raising his son, passing him from home to home until he aged out at 18, angry and alone. Marcus had seen what that life did to people. Half the guys in his old club had come up through foster care, and every single one of them carried scars that never healed. He couldn't let that happen to Ethan. He wouldn't. But how was he supposed to do this? He didn't have money, didn't have a job, didn't have anyone who would vouch for him. He'd spent the last 15 years pushing everyone away, and now that he actually needed help, there was no one to call. His phone buzzed on the table. Unknown number. Marcus almost ignored it. Then something made him answer. Stone. Silence on the other end. Then a voice he'd hoped never to hear again. "Hello, Marcus. Long time no see." Marcus's blood turned to ice. "Victor. So you remember me? I'm touched." Victor Crane's voice was smooth as oil, dangerous as a rattlesnake. "Word is you've got a kid now. A son. Cute little thing from what I hear." Marcus's hand clenched around the phone. "How do you know about that?" "I know everything that happens in this county. You should remember that." A pause. "We need to talk, Marcus. About old debts, old promises. You remember what you owe me, don't you?" "I don't owe you anything. You testified against me. Put me away for 8 years. That's a debt, Marcus. And now that I'm out, well, let's just say I'm looking to collect." Marcus's voice dropped to a growl. "You come near my son, I'll kill you." Victor laughed. "There's the Marcus I remember, all fire and fury, but you should know threats don't work on me anymore. I'll be seeing you, old friend. Real soon." The line went dead. Marcus sat motionless, the phone still pressed to his ear. His heart pounded against his ribs. Victor Crane was out. Victor knew about Ethan, and Marcus was completely, utterly alone. He looked toward the spare room where his son was sleeping, innocent, trusting, believing that his Papa Bear could protect him from anything. For the first time in 15 years, Marcus Stone was truly afraid. Marcus didn't sleep that night. He sat in the chair by the front door, baseball bat across his knees, watching the darkness through the window. Every creak of the cabin made his muscles tense. Every gust of wind sounded like footsteps. Victor Crane was out of prison. Victor knew about Ethan, and Victor never made empty threats. By dawn, Marcus's eyes burned from exhaustion, but his mind was razor sharp. He needed a plan. He needed help. But who could he possibly call? The answer came to him as the first light crept across the floor. There was one person, someone he'd hoped never to speak to again. But desperate times called for desperate measures. He pulled out his phone and dialed a number he still knew by heart. It rang 4 times before a gruff voice answered. "Who the hell is calling at 6 in the morning?" "Grizzly. It's Marcus." Silence. Then, "Stone, Marcus Stone." "Yeah. Well, I'll be damned." A long pause. Heard you were dead. Not yet. What do you want, Marcus? It's been 15 years. You don't call, you don't write. And now suddenly you're on my phone at the crack of dawn. Marcus took a breath. I need help. Another pause, longer this time. You asking for help must be serious. Victor Crane got out. The silence that followed told Marcus everything he needed to know. Grizzly remembered Victor. Everyone remembered Victor. When Grizzly's voice had gone hard. Don't know exactly. He called me last night. Knows where I live. Knows about... Marcus glanced toward the spare room. I have a son, Grizzly, a 6-year-old boy. His mother just died, and now Victor's threatening to come after him to get to me. A son, you... I didn't know about him until 2 days ago. His mother kept it secret. Protected him from our world. Marcus's voice cracked. Now I'm all he's got, and I can't let anything happen to him. Grizzly was quiet for a long moment. Then, where are you? Same cabin, Miller's Ridge. I'll make some calls. Sit tight. Grizzly. I said sit tight, Stone. You're not alone anymore, whether you like it or not. The line went dead. Ethan woke up an hour later, padding into the kitchen with his teddy bear dragging on the floor behind him. Good morning, Papa Bear. Marcus forced a smile. Morning, buddy. You hungry? A little. Ethan climbed onto a chair at the table. Who were you talking to? An old friend. A good friend. Marcus thought about Grizzly Thompson. They'd ridden together for 12 years, watched each other's backs in more fights than he could count. Then Marcus had testified against Victor and everything had fallen apart. He'd walked away from the club, walked away from everyone, convinced they'd all hate him for what he'd done. Yeah, he said finally. A good friend. Ethan nodded, satisfied with that answer. Mommy said good friends are hard to find. She said when you find one, you should hold on tight. Your mommy was smart. I know. Ethan picked at the edge of the table. I miss her. I know you do, buddy. Do you miss her too? Marcus poured cereal into a bowl and set it in front of Ethan. Yeah, I miss her too. Did you love her? The question hit Marcus like a punch. He sat down across from his son, trying to find the right words. I loved her very much, he said finally. But I made some bad choices, and I thought she'd be better off without me. That's silly. Ethan scooped cereal into his mouth. Mommy always said you were the best man she ever knew. Marcus's throat tightened. She said that all the time. She had a picture of you in her drawer. Sometimes at night when she thought I was asleep, she'd look at it and cry. Ethan tilted his head. Why did you make her cry, Papa Bear? Marcus couldn't answer. He just reached across the table and squeezed his son's hand. The morning brought another challenge. Marcus was washing dishes when he heard a car pull up outside. His whole body went rigid. He moved to the window expecting to see Victor's men. Instead, he saw a county vehicle. Mrs. Blackwell stepped out, clipboard in hand, already scanning the property with disapproving eyes. Stay here, Marcus told Ethan. I'll be right back. He met Mrs. Blackwell on the porch before she could reach the door. Mr. Stone, her voice was crisp. I thought I'd do an unannounced check-in, see how things are progressing. It's been 1 day. Progress can be measured in small increments. She tried to peer past him into the cabin. May I come in? No. Her eyebrows rose. Excuse me. You gave me 30 days. You don't get to barge in here whenever you feel like it. Mr. Stone, I'm trying to help you. Are you? Marcus stepped closer, using his size to block her view. Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you already made up your mind about me. Mrs. Blackwell's jaw tightened. I've seen your file, Mr. Stone. I know who you were. Who I was. Not who I am. People don't change. You're wrong about that. Marcus heard footsteps behind him and turned to see Ethan standing in the doorway. Hey, buddy. I told you to stay inside. I heard you arguing. Ethan looked at Mrs. Blackwell. Are you the lady who wants to take me away? Mrs. Blackwell's expression softened slightly. I'm not trying to take you away, sweetheart. I'm trying to make sure you're safe. I'm safe with my daddy. Honey, sometimes adults think they're keeping children safe, but my mommy told me about him. Ethan stepped out onto the porch and took Marcus's hand. She said he was a hero. She said he protected people. She said he'd protect me too. Mrs. Blackwell looked from Ethan to Marcus and back again. Something flickered in her eyes, doubt perhaps, or the first crack in her certainty. 30 days, Mr. Stone, she said finally. I'll be back. She turned and walked to her car without looking back. By noon, Marcus knew he needed to get Ethan enrolled in school. He couldn't afford to give Mrs. Blackwell any more ammunition. The elementary school in Billings was a squat brick building that looked like it hadn't been updated since the 1970s. Marcus parked his truck in the lot and sat for a moment, steeling himself. "Ready?" he asked Ethan. The boy nodded, but his face was pale. "What's wrong? What if they don't like me?" Marcus turned in his seat to face his son. "Listen to me. You're smart. You're kind. You're the bravest kid I've ever met. Anyone who doesn't like you isn't worth your time." Mommy said that too. Then it must be true. They walked into the school together, Ethan's hand tight in Marcus's. The receptionist at the front desk looked up and her smile froze when she saw Marcus. "Can I help you? I need to enroll my son." "Your son?" Her eyes darted between them. "Do you have documentation? Birth certificate, proof of address, whatever you need." "Ooh." The receptionist hesitated, clearly wanting to refuse, but there was nothing she could legally do to turn them away. "Please fill out these forms," she said, sliding papers across the desk. "The principal will want to speak with you." Principal Margaret Hayes was a severe woman in her 60s with steel gray hair and glasses that made her eyes look too large for her face. She studied Marcus's paperwork with obvious suspicion. "Mr. Stone," she said finally, "I'll be frank. Your reputation precedes you. I'm trying to change that. Are you—" She looked at Ethan, who sat quietly in the chair beside Marcus. "This is a small community, Mr. Stone. Parents talk. If word gets out that that someone with your background has enrolled their child here, there will be concerns." Marcus felt his temper rise, but forced it down. "My son has a right to an education." "Of course he does. I'm simply saying that his transition might not be smooth." "Then help me make it smooth. That's your job, isn't it?" Principal Hayes' lips pressed into a thin line. "Ethan will start on Monday. I trust you'll do everything in your power to ensure his behavior reflects positively on this school. His behavior won't be the problem." Marcus stood and took Ethan's hand. "I hope you'll keep an eye on how other kids treat him, and their parents." He walked out before she could respond. That afternoon, Marcus drove to the garage on the edge of town. Hank's Auto Repair was a rundown shop that catered to truckers and people who couldn't afford the fancy dealerships. Marcus had done work there years ago, back when he was still part of the club. Hank himself was under a pickup truck when Marcus walked in. Only his legs were visible, sticking out from beneath the chassis. "Hank." A pause. Then Hank rolled out on his creeper, squinting up at Marcus with grease-stained hands. "Well, well, look what the cat dragged in." "I need work." Hank stood slowly, wiping his hands on a rag that only made them dirtier. "You got some nerve, Stone. Disappearing for 15 years and then showing up asking for a job. I've got a son now. I need steady income or they'll take him from me." Hank's expression shifted. "A son, you—" "Long story. Point is, I need work, and I know you've been short-handed since Tommy left." "How do you know about Tommy?" "Small town. People talk." Hank studied him for a long moment. "You still know your way around an engine. I could rebuild a Harley blindfolded." A ghost of a smile crossed Hank's weathered face. $10 an hour. Cash. No benefits, no sick days, no complaining. You start tomorrow." Marcus nodded. "Thank you." "Don't thank me yet. This town has a long memory, Stone. Not everyone's going to be happy you're back." That evening, Marcus was cooking dinner pasta with sauce from a jar. Nothing fancy when his phone rang again. Unknown number. His blood went cold. He checked to make sure Ethan was still in the living room, then stepped outside to answer. "What do you want, Victor?" "Just checking in." Victor's voice was silky smooth. "Making sure you haven't forgotten about me." "I haven't forgotten anything." "Good. Because I've been thinking, Marcus. 8 years is a long time. A lot of time to think, to plan, to imagine all the ways I could make you pay for what you did. You were running drugs through a school zone. You deserve to go to prison. And who made you judge and jury? You were one of us, Marcus. Brotherhood meant something. Brotherhood ended when you started putting poison in kids' hands." Victor laughed. "Always so righteous. That's what I hated most about you. You actually believed you were better than the rest of us." His voice dropped. "But you're not Marcus. You're exactly the same. The only difference is you were smart enough to run before anyone could see it." Marcus's grip tightened on the phone. "Stay away from my son." "Your son, that's sweet. Does he know what his daddy used to do? Does he know how many bones you've broken, how many lives you've ruined? That's not who I am anymore." "We'll see about that." Victor paused. "You know what I think? I think the old Marcus is still in there waiting to come out. And when he does, well, that's when things will get interesting." The line went dead. Marcus stood on the porch, his heart pounding. Victor was playing with him, trying to get under his skin, trying to provoke him into doing something stupid. He couldn't let that happen. He had to stay calm, stay focused, for Ethan. But how long could he keep this up? Monday morning came faster than Marcus expected. He drove Ethan to school, his stomach tight with anxiety. "You got your lunch?" he asked. "Yes, Papa Bear." "Your homework folder?" "Yes, Papa Bear." "Your, I've got everything." Ethan smiled, and for a moment he looked so much like Sarah that Marcus's heart ached. "Don't worry, I'll be okay." "I know you will." Marcus knelt down to eye level. "If anyone gives you trouble, you tell me." "Okay, don't try to handle it yourself." "Okay." Marcus hugged him tight, then watched him walk through the school doors. He stood there until Ethan disappeared inside, then drove to the garage with a knot in his chest that wouldn't go away. The call came at 2:30 in the afternoon. Marcus was elbow deep in a truck engine when Hank yelled his name across the garage. "Stone phone." Marcus grabbed a rag, wiped his hands, and took the receiver. "Hello? Mr. Stone, this is Principal Hayes. There's been an incident." The world tilted. "What happened? Is Ethan okay?" "Physically, yes, but I need you to come to the school immediately." Marcus didn't remember driving there. One moment he was in the garage. The next he was running through the school doors, his heart in his throat. Principal Hayes met him in the hallway, her expression grim. "What happened?" Marcus demanded. "There was a confrontation at recess. 3 boys from the 4th grade cornered Ethan behind the gym." "Cornered him? What the hell does that mean?" "They were saying things about you, about his mother. Ethan tried to walk away, but they wouldn't let him." Marcus's hands clenched into fists. "Where is he?" "In the nurse's office. He's not hurt physically, but he's very upset." Marcus pushed past her without another word. He found Ethan sitting on the nurse's table, knees pulled to his chest, face buried in his arms. The nurse stepped aside as Marcus entered. "Hey, buddy." Ethan looked up. His eyes were red from crying. "They said Mommy was a bad person." His voice trembled. "They said you were a criminal and a monster. They said I was going to grow up just like you." Marcus sat down beside him and pulled him close. "None of that is true. But they said, I don't care what they said. Your mommy was the best person I ever knew. She was kind and brave, and she loved you more than anything in the world." "What about you?" Ethan whispered. "Are you a monster?" The question cut deep. Marcus pulled back so he could look into his son's eyes. "I've done things I'm not proud of," he said carefully. "Bad things. Things that hurt people. But I'm trying to be better, Ethan. I'm trying every single day to be the kind of man your mommy believed I could be. The boys said people like us don't belong here. People like us, Broken people. Marcus felt something crack inside him. He cupped Ethan's face in his hands. Listen to me. We are not broken. We are hurting. There's a difference. And hurting people can heal. It takes time. It takes work. But we can do it. Together. Ethan's lower lip trembled. Promise. I promise. That evening, Marcus was making dinner when he heard motorcycles. Not just one or two, a dozen at least, rumbling up the mountain road toward his cabin. His blood went cold. Victor. Ethan, go to your room. But now. Ethan ran. Marcus grabbed the baseball bat and moved to the door. The motorcycles came into view. 12 bikes, all of them carrying riders in leather jackets. They pulled up in front of the cabin, engines idling. Marcus's grip tightened on the bat. Then the lead rider pulled off his helmet and Marcus's breath caught. Grizzly Thompson, 68 years old, silver-haired, built like a grizzly bear, which was how he'd gotten his name. Behind him were faces Marcus hadn't seen in 15 years. Boxer, Diesel, Red. Men he'd ridden with, fought with, bled with. Well, Grizzly called out, shutting off his engine. You gonna invite us in or just stand there looking stupid? Marcus lowered the bat. What are you doing here? You called for help, didn't you? Grizzly swung off his bike. Well, here's your help. One by one, the other riders dismounted. They walked toward the porch, old warriors with gray in their beards and fire still in their eyes. I thought you'd all forgotten about me, Marcus said. Grizzly stopped in front of him and placed a heavy hand on his shoulder. Brother, you testified against a poison dealer who was killing kids. That took guts. We should have stood with you back then. We didn't. That's on us. He squeezed Marcus's shoulder. But we're here now, and we're not going anywhere. From inside the cabin, Marcus heard small footsteps. He turned to see Ethan peeking around the doorframe, eyes wide. Papa Bear, who are all these people? Marcus looked at the men gathered on his porch, men he'd pushed away, men who'd come anyway. These are my brothers, he said quietly. They're here to help us. Grizzly knelt down to Ethan's level. Hey there, little man. Your daddy tells me you're pretty brave. Ethan nodded solemnly. Well, I'm Grizzly, and me and my friends here. We're gonna make sure nobody messes with you or your daddy ever again. Ethan looked up at Marcus. Are they good guys? Marcus thought about everything they'd done together, the good and the bad, the brotherhood that had survived even his betrayal. Yeah, buddy, they're the good guys. 2 hours later, the cabin was full. The men had brought food, beer, and sleeping bags. They were spread out across the living room, talking, laughing, catching up on 15 years of lost time. Marcus sat apart from the group, watching. It felt surreal, like a dream he might wake up from at any moment. Grizzly settled into the chair beside him. Nice place you got here. It's a dump. It's got potential. Grizzly took a long pull from his beer. So, Victor Crane. What's his play? I don't know. He's been calling, making threats, but he hasn't made a move yet. That's Victor's style. He likes to watch people squirm before he strikes. Grizzly leaned forward. But here's the thing about snakes, Marcus. They're predictable. You just have to know what they're after. He's after revenge. I put him away. Maybe. Or maybe he wants something else. Victor always was more businessman than biker. 8 years in prison, he would have made connections, built networks. Grizzly's eyes narrowed. Question is, what's he building toward? Before Marcus could answer, Ethan appeared at his side, rubbing his eyes. I can't sleep. It's too loud. Marcus lifted him onto his lap. Sorry, buddy. We'll keep it down. It's okay. Ethan yawned and leaned against Marcus's chest. I like having people here. It feels safe. Grizzly watched the exchange with something soft in his weathered eyes. Kid's right, he said quietly. There's strength in numbers. Victor knows that. It's why he's trying to isolate you. So what do we do? Grizzly smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. We show him you're not alone anymore, and we make him understand that if he comes for you, he comes for all of us. 3 days passed. Victor went quiet. No calls. No threats. Nothing. It made Marcus more nervous, not less. Mrs. Blackwell showed up for another check-in and found 12 bikers camped out in and around the cabin. Her face went through several shades of red before she managed to speak. Mr. Stone, this is completely unacceptable. They're friends. They're helping me fix up the place. These men have criminal records. So do I. That's not illegal. This is not the stable environment a child needs. Marcus stepped closer to her, keeping his voice low. You know what's not stable, having a psychopath threaten to hurt my son. These men are here to protect him. You should be thanking them. Mrs. Blackwell's eyes widened. What psychopath? What are you talking about? Marcus hesitated. He hadn't told her about Victor, hadn't wanted to give her more ammunition. But Grizzly stepped forward before Marcus could decide what to say. Ma'am, my name is Thomas Thompson. I'm a veteran of the United States Army, served 2 tours in Vietnam. I own a home in Helena, and I pay my taxes every year. He handed her a business card. I'm also Marcus's friend, and I'm telling you there is a genuine threat to this family. We are here to help, not to cause trouble. Mrs. Blackwell looked at the card, then at Grizzly, then at Marcus. I want a full report on this threat, she said finally, and I want it documented with the police. Already done, Grizzly said. Sheriff's got a file on Victor Crane that'd make your head spin. Mrs. Blackwell was quiet for a long moment. Then for the first time her expression softened just slightly. 23 days, Mr. Stone. Make them count. She drove away, and Marcus let out a breath he didn't know he'd been holding. Thanks, he said to Grizzly. Don't mention it. The older man clapped him on the shoulder. Now, let's talk about what happens when Victor makes his move. Marcus looked toward the cabin where Ethan was playing with one of the other bikers, laughing at something the man had said. Whatever it takes, Marcus said quietly. I'll do whatever it takes to keep him safe. I know you will. Grizzly's voice was grim. Question is, how far are you willing to go? Marcus watched his son laugh. Watched the joy on his face, the innocence that the world hadn't managed to crush yet. All the way, he said. I'll go all the way. The silence lasted exactly 1 week. Marcus was at the garage when his phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. No words, just a photo. Ethan. Walking into school that morning. Taken from across the street. Marcus's tools clattered to the floor. He was in his truck and speeding toward the school before Hank could ask what was wrong. He called Grizzly on the way. They're watching him. They took a picture of Ethan going into school. Where are you? Heading there now. Don't do anything stupid. I'm sending Boxer and Red to meet you. Marcus hung up and pushed the accelerator harder. He made the 12-mile drive in 8 minutes. His tires screamed as he pulled into the school parking lot. He was out of the truck and running before the engine fully stopped. The receptionist looked up in alarm as he burst through the front doors. Sir, you can't just... Where's my son? Where's Ethan Parker? Mr. Stone, please calm down. Don't tell me to calm down. Someone is watching my son. I need to see him, now. Principal Hayes appeared in the hallway, drawn by the commotion. Mr. Stone, what is the meaning of this? Marcus shoved his phone in her face. This. Someone took this photo of Ethan this morning. Someone is stalking my child. The principal's face went pale. That's taken from just outside our property. I know exactly where it's taken from. Now where is my son? He's in class. He's perfectly safe. He's not safe. None of us are safe. Marcus's hands were shaking. I'm taking him home. Mr. Stone, you can't just pull him out of school whenever... Watch me. He pushed past her and strode down the hallway. Teachers poked their heads out of classrooms. Students stared. Marcus didn't care. He found Ethan's classroom and yanked open the door. 20 first graders looked up in surprise. The teacher, a young woman with glasses, stood frozen at the whiteboard. Ethan, come on, buddy, we're leaving. Ethan's face lit up, then clouded with confusion. Papa Bear, what's wrong? Nothing. I just need you to come with me. But we're doing math. Math can wait. Marcus held out his hand. Ethan grabbed his backpack and ran to him, taking his hand without further question. They were halfway down the hallway when Principal Hayes caught up. Mr. Stone, I must insist. You can insist all you want. My son is in danger. I'm not leaving him here where anyone can watch him. Then at least tell me what's happening. Let me help. Marcus stopped, turned, looked at this woman who had judged him from the moment they met. You want to help, call the sheriff. Tell them Victor Crane is stalking a child. Tell them to get someone posted outside this school. And tell them if anything happens to my son, I will burn this whole town down. He walked out without looking back. Boxer and Red were waiting in the parking lot, their bikes rumbling. They fell in behind Marcus's truck as he drove away, forming a protective escort. Ethan sat quietly in the passenger seat, sensing something was very wrong. Papa Bear, did I do something bad? No, buddy. You didn't do anything wrong. Then why are you scared? Marcus glanced at his son. Those green gold eyes saw too much. There's a bad man who wants to hurt me. And he might try to hurt you to get to me. Like a villain. Yeah, like a villain. Ethan thought about this. Do the motorcycle men know about him? They know, that's why they're here. Will they stop him? Marcus looked in the rearview mirror at Boxer and Red, two of the toughest men he'd ever known. They're going to try, buddy. We all are. Then, back at the cabin, Grizzly was waiting. His face was grim. I made some calls. Victor's been busy since he got out. He's connected now. Tied in with some serious people out of Spokane. What kind of people? The kind who move product across state lines. The kind who don't leave witnesses. Grizzly's jaw tightened. He's not just after revenge, Marcus. He's building something. And he wants you to know he can touch you whenever he wants. So what do? We don't give him the satisfaction. Grizzly looked at Ethan, who was sitting on the porch steps hugging his teddy bear. That boy needs to feel safe. We start acting scared, he's gonna feel it. I am scared. I know, but he can't see that. Kids pick up on everything. Grizzly put a hand on Marcus's shoulder. You want to protect him. Be his rock. Be steady, no matter what Victor throws at us. Marcus took a deep breath. Let it out slowly. Okay, what's the plan? They set up a rotation. 2 men at the cabin at all times. 2 men following Ethan to and from school. 2 men watching the roads leading up the mountain. Marcus went to the sheriff's office and filed an official report. Sheriff Dan Cooper was a thick-necked man in his 50s who had known Marcus back in the day. Victor Crane. The sheriff leaned back in his chair. That's a name I hoped never to hear again. He's out. He's making threats. He's watching my son. You got proof. Marcus showed him the photo. Sheriff Cooper's expression darkened. That's brazen, even for Victor. Can you do anything? I can increase patrols near the school. Put a flag on his name so we know if he shows up in town. The sheriff spread his hands. But unless he actually does something, my hands are tied. So I'm supposed to wait until he hurts my son. I'm not saying that. I'm saying the law has limits. Sheriff Cooper leaned forward. Between you and me, Stone, if Victor comes for you, I won't cry too hard if he ends up in a ditch somewhere, but I can't say that officially. You understand? Marcus understood. He was on his own. The next few days were tense. Marcus went to work, but his mind was never on the engines. He checked his phone constantly. Called Ethan's school twice a day. Barely slept. Ethan noticed the change. You're different, Papa Bear. What do you mean? You used to smile sometimes. Now you just look worried. They were sitting at the kitchen table, Ethan doing homework, while Marcus pretended to read a newspaper. I'm sorry, buddy. I've got a lot on my mind. Because of the villain. Yeah, because of the villain. Ethan put down his pencil. Mommy used to get worried too. When she was sick and couldn't hide it anymore, she'd try to smile, but I could tell it was pretend. Marcus's heart clenched. You're too smart for your own good, you know that. That's what Mommy said too. Ethan's voice dropped. She told me something before she died. She said worry is just love with nowhere to go. She said when you love someone, you worry about them. It's normal. Marcus stared at his son. 6 years old and wiser than most adults he'd known. When did you get so wise? I had a good teacher. Ethan smiled, and for a moment everything else fell away. You worry because you love me. That means you're a good daddy. Marcus reached across the table and ruffled Ethan's hair. Come here, you. Ethan climbed into his lap and Marcus held him tight. I love you, buddy. More than anything. I love you too, Papa Bear. 3 nights later, everything changed. Marcus was woken by the sound of breaking glass. He was on his feet before his eyes fully opened, adrenaline flooding his system. Ethan's room. He had to get to Ethan. He burst into the hallway and nearly collided with Diesel, who was on night watch. What happened? Someone threw something through the kitchen window. I didn't see who. They moved to the kitchen together. Glass littered the floor. In the middle of the debris sat a brick with a note tied around it. Marcus picked it up, hands steady, despite the rage building inside him. The note read, 24 hours. Then the kid pays for your sins. Papa Bear. Marcus spun around. Ethan stood in the doorway, teddy bear clutched to his chest, eyes wide with fear. Go back to your room, buddy. What's happening? Why is there glass everywhere? It's nothing. Just an accident. That's not true. Ethan's voice trembled. I heard what it said. 24 hours. What does that mean? Marcus handed the note to Diesel and crossed to his son. He knelt down so they were eye to eye. It means the bad man is trying to scare us. Is it working? Marcus thought about lying, thought about protecting his son from the truth, but Ethan deserved better than that. A little bit, yeah. Are we going to run away? No. Why not? Because running doesn't solve anything. Because this is our home. And because I'm done letting fear control my life. Marcus put his hands on Ethan's shoulders. But I need you to be brave. Can you do that for me? Ethan's chin lifted. Mommy said stone men don't run. Stone men? She said that's what she would have named me if you'd been there, Ethan Stone. He squared his small shoulders. I want to be a stone man, Papa Bear. Marcus pulled him into a hug, blinking back tears he refused to let fall. You already are, buddy. You already are. By dawn, the cabin was a fortress. Grizzly had called in every favor, every connection. 18 bikers now surrounded the property. They'd set up a perimeter, established watch rotations, prepared for anything. Sheriff Cooper showed up with 2 deputies. He looked at the assembled bikers with a mixture of admiration and concern. You know, I can't officially sanction this. Then don't officially know about it, Grizzly said. The sheriff sighed. Victor's gone to ground. No one's seen him in town, but his people are still around. They're staying just inside the law, watching, waiting. Waiting for what? For you to make a mistake. For you to strike first so they can claim self-defense. Sheriff Cooper looked at Marcus. Don't give them that stone. Whatever happens, don't throw the first punch. And if they throw it, then you do what you have to do. The sheriff's eyes were hard. Just make sure I don't have to arrest you when it's over. The day crawled by. Every sound made Marcus jump. Every shadow seemed to hide a threat. Ethan stayed close, never more than a few feet away. The bikers took turns entertaining him, teaching him card games, telling him stories about the old days. Cleaned up versions, of course. By afternoon, Marcus couldn't take the waiting anymore. I'm going to end this. Grizzly looked up from his coffee. What are you talking about? Victor wants me, not Ethan, not you, me. Marcus's hands were clenched at his sides. If I go to him, maybe I can... Get yourself killed. Grizzly stood, anger flashing in his eyes. That's your plan. Leave your son an orphan. I can't just sit here and wait for him to hurt my boy. And you can't go charging in like a damn fool either. Grizzly grabbed Marcus's arm. Think, brother. Victor's counting on you to do something stupid. That's why he gave you a deadline. He wants you panicked. He wants you making mistakes. So what am I supposed to do? Just wait? Yes. We wait. We stay together. We keep that boy safe. Grizzly's grip tightened. And when Victor makes his move, we'll be ready. Midnight came and went. Nothing happened. 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. Still nothing. Marcus sat by the window watching the darkness, his body coiled like a spring. The other men dozed in shifts, always too awake, always alert. At 4:30, the sun began to lighten the sky. At 5 o'clock, Marcus's phone rang. Unknown number. He answered. Victor? Good morning, Marcus. Victor's voice was cheerful, almost friendly. Sleep well. What do you want? I wanted to let you know I've changed my mind. I'm not coming for the boy. Marcus's blood ran cold. What? I've been watching you, Marcus. You and your little army. Very impressive. Victor chuckled. But here's the thing. I realized something. Killing you or taking your son, that's too quick. Too easy. Get to the point. The point is, I've decided to take a different approach. I'm going to destroy you slowly, piece by piece. I'm going to take away everything you care about, everything you're building, until you have nothing left. If you touch my son, I won't need to touch him. By the time I'm done, you'll push him away yourself. That's who you are, Marcus. A destroyer. You ruin everything good in your life. Victor's voice dropped. And I'm going to help you do it one more time. The line went dead. Shh. Marcus stared at the phone in his hand. What did he say? Grizzly asked. He's not coming, not tonight. Marcus's voice was hollow. He says he's going to destroy me slowly, take away everything I care about. That's just talk. He's trying to get in your head. He's already in my head. Marcus looked toward Ethan's room. He said I'll push Ethan away myself, that I'm a destroyer, that I ruin everything. Grizzly grabbed Marcus by the shoulders and forced him to make eye contact. Listen to me. Victor Crane is a snake and a liar. He says whatever will hurt you most. That doesn't make it true. But what if it is? What if... Stop. Grizzly's voice was iron. You are not the man you used to be. You've changed. That boy in there is proof of it. Don't let Victor take that away from you. Marcus wanted to believe him. God, he wanted to believe him. But somewhere deep inside, a voice whispered that Victor was right. The days that followed were quiet. Too quiet. Mrs. Blackwell returned for another check-in. This time she seemed different, less hostile, almost concerned. Mr. Stone, I've been reviewing your file, and I've spoken with Sheriff Cooper about the threat you've been facing. And I want to say, I may have misjudged you. She looked around the cabin at the men who had gathered to protect a child they barely knew. This isn't what I expected. What did you expect? Chaos, danger, an unfit home. She shook her head slowly. Instead, I see a community, a family. People who would put their lives on the line for a little boy they just met. Marcus didn't know what to say. Mrs. Blackwell pulled out her clipboard. I'm recommending temporary custody be granted immediately. The final hearing will still happen, but barring any significant issues, I see no reason why Ethan shouldn't stay with you. Marcus's legs went weak. He grabbed the doorframe to steady himself. Are you serious? I'm always serious, Mr. Stone. For the first time, she smiled. You've got a good support system, a job, a safe home, and more importantly, that little boy loves you. Anyone can see it. Thank you. The words came out rough. Thank you so much. Don't thank me yet. You still have to keep this up, one day at a time. She headed for her car, then paused. And Mr. Stone, whatever Victor Crane is planning, don't let him win. That boy needs you. That night, for the first time in weeks, Marcus slept. He dreamed of Sarah. She was standing in a field of wildflowers, the sun behind her, smiling that smile he'd never forgotten. You're doing good, Marcus. I don't know what I'm doing. No parent does. But you're trying. That's what matters. Victor's out there, waiting, planning. I know. She reached out and touched his face. But you're not alone anymore. Remember that. You're not alone. He woke to the sound of Ethan crawling into bed beside him. Bad dream, Marcus mumbled. No, good dream. I dreamed about Mommy. Marcus's heart stopped. What did she say? She said she loves us, and she said we're going to be okay. Ethan snuggled against him. Is that true, Papa Bear? Marcus wrapped his arm around his son. Yeah, buddy, I think it is. But peace never lasted long in Marcus Stone's life. The next morning, Grizzly got a call. His face went pale as he listened. When? He asked. Are you sure? He hung up and looked at Marcus with an expression that made the blood freeze in his veins. What is it? Victor's made his move, but not against you. Grizzly's voice was grim. He's gone after Pastor Ruth. She's been organizing the community to support you. This morning, her church burned down. Marcus felt the floor tilt beneath him. Was anyone hurt? She's in the hospital, smoke inhalation. They say she'll be okay, but Grizzly's jaw tightened. This is how Victor works. He doesn't come for you directly. He goes after everyone around you, makes them pay for supporting you. Marcus thought about Hank at the garage, Principal Hayes at the school, Mrs. Blackwell, everyone who had helped him, everyone who could be a target. I have to stop him. How we don't even know where he is. Then I'll find him. Marcus's voice was cold as steel. I'll find him and I'll end this, before anyone else gets hurt. Marcus. But Marcus was already moving, already planning, already feeling the old darkness rising up inside him. Victor wanted the old Marcus Stone. He was about to get him. Marcus was halfway to his truck when a small voice stopped him cold. Papa Bear, where are you going? He turned. Ethan stood on the porch, teddy bear in one hand, fear written across his face. I have to go take care of something, buddy. You're going after the bad man. It wasn't a question. Marcus walked back and knelt in front of his son. I have to end this, Ethan, before more people get hurt. But what if you get hurt? I won't. You don't know that. Ethan's eyes filled with tears. Mommy said she'd be okay too. She promised, and then she wasn't. The words hit Marcus like a physical blow. He pulled Ethan into his arms. I know, buddy. Please don't leave me, please. Ethan's small body shook with sobs. I already lost Mommy. I can't lose you too. Marcus held him tighter, feeling something crack inside his chest. The rage that had been driving him began to fade, replaced by something else. Something stronger. Love. Okay, he whispered. Okay, I'm not going anywhere. Grizzly appeared in the doorway, watching silently. When Marcus looked up, the older man nodded slowly. Smart kid, Grizzly said. Smarter than you. Marcus stood, lifting Ethan with him. We do this together, all of us, or we don't do it at all. They gathered in the cabin that afternoon. Grizzly Boxer, Red Diesel, and 8 other men who had ridden through hell and back together. Victor's holed up in an old warehouse outside Spokane, Grizzly said. My contacts confirmed it this morning. He's got maybe 15 men with him. So we go there and take him out, Boxer growled. And start a war. Marcus shook his head. That's exactly what he wants. He's waiting for me to come after him so he can claim self-defense. Then what do? We bring the fight here. Marcus looked around at the men. On our terms. Our turf. How do we get him to come? Marcus's jaw tightened. We give him what he wants. Which is me, alone, vulnerable. Marcus held up a hand before anyone could protest. Not really alone, but he has to think I am. Grizzly studied him for a long moment. You want to use yourself as bait. It's the only way. Victor won't stop until he gets to me, so let him try. But we control the when and the where. It's risky. Everything's risky, but this way we end it. Tonight. The plan was simple. Marcus would send word through the channels that he'd kicked out the bikers, that he was alone at the cabin with just Ethan, that he was ready to talk. Victor wouldn't be able to resist. By 6 o'clock, the trap was set. The bikers had hidden their motorcycles in the woods and taken positions around the property. Sheriff Cooper had deputies stationed on the roads ready to move at Marcus's signal. Ethan was the hardest part. "I don't want to go," he said when Marcus tried to send him with Mrs. Blackwell. "It's just for tonight, buddy." "But I want to stay with you." "I know. But I need you safe. I can't focus if I'm worried about you." Ethan's lower lip trembled. "Promise you'll come back." Marcus knelt down and took both of Ethan's hands in his. "I promise. When the sun comes up tomorrow, I'll be right here waiting for you. Cross your heart. Cross my heart." Mrs. Blackwell stepped forward, her expression softer than Marcus had ever seen it. "Come on, sweetheart. We'll have pancakes for dinner. How does that sound?" Ethan looked at Marcus one more time. Then he threw his arms around his father's neck. "I love you, Papa Bear. I love you too, buddy, more than anything in this world." They were gone by 7. Marcus stood on the porch and watched the taillights disappear down the mountain road. His chest ached with an emptiness he hadn't known was possible. "You okay?" Grizzly asked from inside. "No, but I will be, after tonight." The hours crawled by. 8 o'clock, 9, 10. At 11, Marcus's phone rang. "Stone." Victor's voice was silky smooth. "I hear you've had a change of heart." "I'm tired, Victor. Tired of running. Tired of waiting. Let's end this." "Is that so? What happened to your little army?" "Gone. I sent them away." "And the boy?" Marcus's hand tightened on the phone. "Safe. Somewhere you'll never find him." Victor was quiet for a moment. "You know, Marcus, I almost believe you. Almost. But here's the thing about trust. Once it's broken, it's very hard to rebuild. I'm not asking you to trust me. I'm asking you to come finish what you started. And walk into a trap I wasn't born yesterday. No trap, just me. Alone. You want your revenge, come and get it." Another pause. Then Victor laughed. "You know what I think I will. See you soon, Marcus." The line went dead. They came at midnight. Marcus heard the vehicles first. 3 trucks' engines growling as they climbed the mountain road. He stood on the porch, hands at his sides, forcing himself to look calm. The truck stopped 50 feet from the cabin. Doors opened. Men poured out, 15 of them, all armed. And there, stepping from the lead vehicle, was Victor Crane. He looked older than Marcus remembered. Prison had carved lines into his face and stolen the easy charm he'd once possessed. But his eyes were the same. Cold, calculating, cruel. "Marcus," Victor spread his arms wide. "It's been too long." "Not long enough." Victor laughed and walked closer. His men fanned out behind him, surrounding the cabin. "I have to admit, I didn't think you'd actually do it. Send away your protection. Stand here alone." He tilted his head. "Either you're very brave or very stupid." "Maybe both." "Maybe." Victor stopped 10 feet away. "So, here we are, after all these years. How do you want to do this?" "That's up to you. You're the one who came for revenge." "Revenge." Victor rolled the word around his mouth. "Such an ugly word. I prefer justice. You took 8 years of my life, Marcus. 8 years. Do you have any idea what that's like? You were dealing drugs to kids. You deserved worse." Victor's face hardened. "I was building an empire, creating opportunities. You were too stupid to see it. I saw exactly what you were doing. That's why I testified. And destroyed everything." Victor's composure cracked, rage bleeding through. "I had plans, Marcus. Big plans. You ruined all of it." "Good." Victor stared at him. Then he laughed, a harsh sound with no humor in it. "You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to kill you. Slowly. And then I'm going to find that boy of yours and—" "No." The voice came from behind Victor. Small. Steady. Terrified. Marcus's blood turned to ice. Ethan stepped out from behind one of Victor's trucks where he'd been hiding in the shadows. "Ethan, no. I couldn't leave you, Papa Bear." Tears streamed down Ethan's face, but his chin was lifted. "You said stone men don't run." Victor's expression shifted from surprise to delight. "Well, well, well. Look what we have here. Don't touch him. Marcus's voice was deadly calm. This is between you and me. It was, but the boy just made things so much more interesting. Victor gestured, and two of his men moved toward Ethan. Marcus exploded into motion. He covered the distance to Ethan in 3 strides, putting himself between his son and the approaching men. His fist connected with the first man's jaw, sending him spinning. The second man grabbed for a weapon, but Marcus was faster, slamming his elbow into the man's throat. Now! Grizzly's voice roared through the darkness. The night erupted. Bikers poured from the trees, from behind the cabin, from everywhere. They hit Victor's men like a wave fists, and fury unleashed after weeks of waiting. Marcus scooped up Ethan and ran for the cabin. Gunfire cracked behind him. Someone screamed. Stay down! He pushed Ethan behind the couch. Don't move, no matter what you hear. Papa Bear, promise me. I promise. Marcus turned and ran back into the chaos. The fight was brutal. Victor's men were outnumbered but better armed. Bullets tore through the air. One of the bikers went down clutching his shoulder. Another took a hit to the leg. Marcus found Victor trying to reach one of the trucks. He tackled him hard, and they went down in a tangle of fists and rage. You should have stayed gone, Victor spat, clawing at Marcus's face. You should have left my son alone. They rolled across the ground, trading blows. Victor was quick, vicious, fighting dirty. But Marcus had something he didn't, something to protect. He pinned Victor beneath him and drove his fist into his face once, twice, 3 times. Victor's head snapped back with each blow. This is over, Marcus snarled. Nothing's over, Victor laughed through bloody teeth. You think this ends with me? My people in Spokane will burn your whole world down. Your people in Spokane just got raided by the FBI. Sheriff Cooper's voice cut through the chaos. It's over, Victor. Marcus looked up. The sheriff stood surrounded by deputies, weapons drawn. Victor's men were face down on the ground, hands being cuffed behind their backs. You're under arrest for arson, assault, threatening a minor, and about a dozen other charges we'll figure out on the way to the station. Sheriff Cooper smiled grimly. Welcome back to Montana, Victor. Marcus released his grip and stepped back. His hands were shaking, his knuckles bloody. It was over. It was finally over. Papa Bear. Ethan's voice cut through everything. Marcus turned and caught his son as the boy launched himself into his arms. You came back. You promised. And you came back. I told you I would. Marcus held him tight, tears streaming down his face. I told you. Grizzly limped over a gash on his forehead, but a smile on his face. You did good, Stone. Real good. I almost got everyone killed. But you didn't. Grizzly put a hand on his shoulder. That's what matters. Mrs. Blackwell's car came screaming up the road. She jumped out before it fully stopped, her face white with fear. I'm so sorry. He was in the car and then I turned around and he was gone. It's okay. Marcus shifted Ethan in his arms. He's okay. We're all okay. Mrs. Blackwell stared at the scene around her. The bikers, the arrested men, the deputies. What happened here? Justice, Grizzly said. That's what happened. The next few hours were chaos. Statements were taken. Wounds were treated. Victor and his men were hauled away in a parade of squad cars. Through it all, Ethan refused to let go of Marcus's hand. I'm sorry I didn't stay in the car, he said quietly as the sun began to rise. You scared me half to death. I know, but I couldn't leave you. You're my daddy. Marcus pulled him close. Yeah, buddy, I am. Forever. Forever. Sheriff Cooper approached as the last of the vehicles pulled away. Victor's going back to prison. For a long time. His network in Spokane is dismantled. His men are rolling on each other as we speak. He extended his hand. You did good, Stone. Marcus shook it. I had help. That you did. The sheriff looked at the bikers gathered around the cabin. This town owes you all. Don't think we'll forget it. By noon, the cabin was quiet. Most of the bikers had left, heading back to their lives with promises to return for the celebration. Grizzly stayed helping Marcus clean up the aftermath of the battle. "So what happens now?" Marcus asked. "Now you live your life." Grizzly set down the broom he'd been using. "You raise that boy. Build something good. After everything I've done, because of everything you've done." Grizzly faced him. "You were given a second chance, Marcus. Don't waste it." "I don't know how to be a normal person. I don't know how to be a dad." "Nobody does. You figure it out as you go." Grizzly smiled. "But from what I've seen, you're already doing better than most." That evening, Mrs. Blackwell returned. Marcus expected another lecture, another threat about custody. Instead, she handed him an envelope. "What's this?" "Emergency custody order, signed by the judge this morning." Her eyes were soft. "Congratulations, Mr. Stone. He's officially yours." Marcus stared at the paper in his hands. His vision blurred. I don't know what to say." "Say you'll take care of him. Say you'll be the father that little boy deserves." "I will." His voice cracked. "I swear I will." Mrs. Blackwell nodded. Then to Marcus's shock, she hugged him. "I was wrong about you," she whispered. "I'm glad." Marcus found Ethan on the porch watching the sunset. "Hey buddy, can we talk?" Ethan looked up. "Am I in trouble?" "No." Marcus sat down beside him. "I wanted to show you something." He handed Ethan the custody paper. "What is it?" "It means you're mine. Officially. Legally. Forever." Ethan's eyes went wide. "Really?" "Really. So no one can take me away." "No one. Ever." Ethan threw his arms around Marcus's neck. "I knew it. Mommy said you'd take care of me. She promised." Marcus held his son as the sun sank below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of gold and red. "Hey, Ethan." "Yeah, Papa Bear. How would you feel about changing your name?" Ethan pulled back, confused. "What do you mean? Your last name? Parker was your mom's name. But if you want, you could be a Stone, like me." Ethan's face split into a grin. "Ethan Stone. Ethan Ray Stone. That sounds like a superhero name." Marcus laughed. "Yeah, buddy, it kind of does. Can I tell everyone at school?" "You can tell whoever you want." Ethan hugged him again, tighter this time. "Thank you, Daddy." Daddy. Not Papa Bear. Daddy. Marcus's heart felt like it might burst. "You're welcome, son." Pastor Ruth came home from the hospital a week later. The whole town turned out to welcome her back. She found Marcus in the crowd and made her way to him, moving slowly but steadily. "Marcus Stone." She took both his hands. "I hear I have you to thank. For what your church burned down because of me. My church is the people, not the building. And the people are safe. Because of you." She squeezed his hands. "God works in mysterious ways, Marcus, even through old bikers. I'm not sure God and I are on speaking terms." "Maybe not yet," she smiled. "But give it time. He's patient." That night, Marcus lay awake, Ethan sleeping soundly beside him. For the first time in 15 years, the future didn't terrify him. He thought about Sarah, about the life they could have had, about the years he'd wasted running from himself. But he also thought about tomorrow, about Ethan's first day back at school as Ethan Stone, about the garage he was going to open, about the man he was becoming. Victor Crane had wanted to destroy him. Instead, he'd shown Marcus exactly what he had to fight for: a son, a community, a chance to be better. And Marcus Stone was never going to waste that chance again. 6 months changed everything. Marcus stood in front of the mirror, barely recognizing the man staring back at him. The wild beard was gone, replaced by a clean-shaven jaw. His hair was trimmed short. His eyes, once hollow with years of self-destruction, now held something he'd almost forgotten existed: hope. "Papa Bear, we're gonna be late." Ethan's voice echoed from the kitchen, pulling Marcus from his thoughts. "Coming, buddy." He grabbed his keys and walked through the cabin. It was barely recognizable now. Clean curtains hung in the windows. Photographs lined the mantel. Ethan's drawings covered the refrigerator. A home. A real home. Ethan waited by the door, bouncing on his toes with excitement. His backpack was covered in dinosaur patches, and his hair was combed for once. "Ready for the big day?" Marcus asked. "Ready." Ethan grabbed his hand. "Let's go, Daddy. Everyone's waiting." The drive into town felt different now. People waved as they passed. A woman outside the grocery store smiled and called out a greeting. The mechanic at the gas station gave Marcus a thumbs up. 6 months ago, these same people had crossed the street to avoid him. Now they treated him like one of their own. "Daddy, why is everyone so happy?" "Because today's a special day, buddy." "Because of the garage." "That's right, because of the garage." They pulled up to what used to be an abandoned building on Main Street. It had been a wreck when Marcus first saw it. Broken windows, sagging roof graffiti on the walls. Now it gleamed. A fresh coat of red paint covered the exterior. New windows sparkled in the morning sun. And above the entrance hung a sign that made Marcus's chest tighten every time he saw it. Papa Bear's Garage. The cartoon bear wearing sunglasses and a leather vest had been Ethan's idea. Marcus had laughed when his son first drew it. Now it was painted 10 feet tall on the side of the building. "There's so many people." Ethan pressed his face against the truck window. He was right. The crowd stretched down the block. Townspeople, bikers, families with children. Pastor Ruth stood near the entrance with members of her congregation. Mrs. Blackwell was there, looking almost proud. Sheriff Cooper leaned against his cruiser arms, crossed a rare smile on his face. And at the front of the crowd, Grizzly Thompson waited with the rest of the old crew. "You ready for this?" Marcus asked. Ethan nodded solemnly. "Born ready, Daddy." Marcus laughed. "Where'd you learn that?" "Uncle Grizzly." Of course he did. They climbed out of the truck to applause. Marcus felt his face flush as people called out congratulations, reaching to shake his hand, patting his shoulder. "Speech, speech," someone yelled. "No speeches," Marcus said, holding up his hands. "I'm no good at talking." "Then let the boy do it," Grizzly called out. The crowd laughed. Ethan tugged on Marcus's sleeve. "Can I, Daddy, please?" Marcus looked at his son. 6 years old, wearing his Sunday best eyes shining with excitement. "Go ahead, buddy." Ethan stepped forward. The crowd quieted. "Hi, everyone." His small voice carried surprisingly well. "My name is Ethan Stone. 6 months ago, my mommy died. I didn't have anywhere to go. But then I found my daddy." Marcus felt his throat tighten. He was scared at first. I could tell. But he didn't send me away. He kept me. He protected me. And now we have a garage. Ethan threw his arms wide. "It's called Papa Bear's Garage because my daddy is like a big bear. He looks scary, but he's really soft on the inside." Laughter rippled through the crowd. "Mommy always said everyone deserves a second chance. Daddy got his. And now he's giving second chances to other people too. That's what this garage is for." Ethan looked back at Marcus. "Right, Daddy." Marcus couldn't speak. He just nodded. "So thank you all for coming. And remember to get your oil changed." The crowd erupted in applause. Ethan ran back to Marcus and jumped into his arms. "Did I do good?" "You did perfect, buddy." Marcus's voice was rough. "Absolutely perfect." The ribbon-cutting ceremony was brief. Pastor Ruth said a blessing. Sheriff Cooper made a few remarks about community and redemption. Then Ethan, wielding oversized scissors, cut the red ribbon with a dramatic flourish. "Papa Bear's Garage is officially open," he announced. Cheers erupted. Someone started up a motorcycle, its engine roaring in celebration. People streamed inside to see the shop. Marcus hung back, overwhelmed by it all. Grizzly appeared at his side. "You did good, brother." "I didn't do anything. This was all of you." "Bullshit." Grizzly's voice was firm. "You put in the work. You stayed sober. You showed up every damn day. That was all you." "I couldn't have done it without help." "Nobody does anything without help. That's not weakness. That's just being human." Marcus watched Ethan inside the garage showing off the tools to a group of fascinated kids. He's something else, isn't he? He's his father's son. Grizzly clapped him on the shoulder. And that's a good thing now. You made it a good thing. The celebration lasted all morning. People bought coffee and donuts from a stand Pastor Ruth's congregation had set up. Kids ran around the parking lot while their parents caught up with neighbors. Around noon, Marcus noticed a woman standing at the edge of the crowd. She was watching him with an intensity that made him uneasy. Early 50s, well-dressed with sharp eyes that seemed to be evaluating everything. He made his way over to her. "Can I help you?" Marcus Stone. It wasn't a question. "I'm Beverly Chen. I'm a journalist with the Montana Tribune." Marcus's guard went up immediately. "I'm not interested in interviews." "I'm not here for an interview. I'm here to give you something." She reached into her bag and pulled out a manila envelope. "This arrived at our office last week. It was addressed to you care of the newspaper." Marcus took the envelope. "What is it?" "I don't know. I didn't open it, but it's postmarked from Helena and the handwriting." She paused. "It looks like a woman's." Marcus's heart stuttered. Helena was where Sarah had grown up, where her parents had lived before they passed. "Thank you," he said quietly. Beverly Chen studied him for a moment. "The town talks about you, you know. About what you did for that little boy. About how you stood up to Victor Crane." She smiled slightly. "It would make a hell of a story. My story isn't for sale." "I figured you'd say that." She handed him a business card. "But if you ever change your mind, call me. Some stories deserve to be told." She walked away, leaving Marcus holding the envelope. He waited until the celebration was winding down to open it. Ethan was inside with Grizzly learning how to use a socket wrench. Marcus sat alone on the bench outside the garage, the envelope in his hands. The handwriting on the front was unfamiliar, but inside he found another envelope, older, worn. And on that one, the handwriting made his breath catch. Sarah's handwriting. His hands trembled as he opened it. "Marcus, if you're reading this, it means you found Ethan. It means you kept him. It means you became the man I always knew you could be. I wrote this letter 5 years ago when Ethan was just a baby. I gave it to my lawyer with instructions to send it to you if anything ever happened to me, and you stepped up for our son. I'm so proud of you, Marcus. I know that might seem strange coming from beyond the grave, but I've been watching you in a way. I've kept track of your choices, your struggles, your attempts to be better, and I've seen the good in you that you could never see in yourself. Ethan is the best thing I ever did, but loving you was a close second. Don't ever doubt that. Don't ever think our time together was wasted. It wasn't. You gave me hope, Marcus. Even when you walked away, even when I was alone and scared, I never stopped believing in you. And now you're proving me right. Take care of our boy. Teach him to be strong, but also to be kind. Teach him that real courage isn't about fighting. It's about loving even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. I'll be watching. I'll always be watching. All my love, forever." Sarah Marcus read the letter 3 times. Tears streamed down his face, but he didn't wipe them away. "Daddy." He looked up. Ethan stood in front of him, concern on his small face. "Why are you crying? Are you sad?" "No, buddy." Marcus pulled him close. "I'm not sad. I'm the happiest I've ever been." "Then why are you crying?" "Because sometimes happy tears happen too, especially when someone you love reaches out to you even when they're gone." Ethan looked at the letter. "Is it from Mommy?" "Yeah, it's from Mommy." "What did she say?" Marcus smiled through his tears. "She said she's proud of us, both of us." The first month of the garage's operation exceeded all expectations. Word spread fast. People came from 3 counties away to get their cars fixed by the ex-biker who'd stood up to Victor Crane. They came for the quality work, but they stayed for the community Marcus was building. He hired 2 veterans who'd been struggling to find work. Then a young man fresh out of prison, desperate for a second chance. Then a single mother who'd worked as a mechanic before life got hard. Every employee had a story. Every one of them was given the opportunity Marcus had been given. You're running a charity, not a business, Hank grumbled one afternoon. He'd stopped by to see the new shop. I'm running a family, Marcus replied. Turns out that's worth more than profit margins. Hank shook his head, but he was smiling. You've changed, Stone. I never thought I'd see it, but you've changed. I had good teachers. Ethan thrived at school. The same kids who had tormented him before now wanted to be his friends. His teacher, Miss Thompson, reported that he was one of the brightest students in her class. He has a gift for storytelling, she told Marcus at the parent-teacher conference. He wrote an essay about his family that made me cry. Can I read it? She handed him a sheet of paper covered in Ethan's careful handwriting. My Family, by Ethan Stone. My family is not like other families. I have a daddy who used to be a biker. He has tattoos and a big truck, and he can fix anything. I had a mommy too, but she went to heaven. I miss her every day. But Daddy says she's always watching us, and I believe him. We also have lots of uncles. They're not real uncles, but they feel like it. Uncle Grizzly taught me how to play cards. Uncle Boxer taught me how to throw a punch, but only for emergencies. Uncle Red taught me how to whistle really loud. Some people think my family is weird, but I think it's perfect. Because family isn't about who you're related to. It's about who loves you. And I am loved. A lot. Marcus had to set the paper down. He couldn't see through his tears. Mr. Stone, are you all right? Yeah. He cleared his throat. Yeah, I'm fine. He's an amazing kid. He is, and he's lucky to have you. 3 months after the garage opened, Pastor Ruth organized a community gathering to celebrate the rebuilding of her church. The whole town turned out. The new building wasn't as grand as the old one, but it was warm and welcoming. And in the vestibule, a plaque had been installed, dedicated to the memory of Sarah Parker, whose love reached beyond the grave to bring a father and son together. Marcus stared at the plaque, unable to speak. She would have loved this, Pastor Ruth said, appearing beside him. She would have loved seeing what you've become. I still don't feel like I deserve it. None of us deserve grace, Marcus. That's what makes it grace. She patted his arm. Stop trying to earn it. Just accept it. That night, Marcus and Ethan had dinner with Grizzly and the crew at the cabin. It was a tradition now. Every Sunday, the old bikers gathered to share a meal and tell stories. Tell the one about the bear, Ethan demanded. Which one? Grizzly asked, grinning. The one where Daddy fought the actual bear. That's not a real story, Marcus protested. Yes, it is. Uncle Diesel told me. Diesel, a massive man with arms like tree trunks, tried to look innocent. The kid asked for adventure stories. I provided. You told him I fought a bear. A small bear. More of a large raccoon, really. The table erupted in laughter. Marcus shook his head, but he was smiling. This was his family now. Rough around the edges, loud, imperfect, but loyal to the core. After dinner, Ethan fell asleep on the couch, worn out from the excitement. Marcus carried him to bed, tucking the blankets around him the way he'd learned to do over the past months. Daddy. Ethan's eyes were half open. Yeah, buddy. Are you happy? Marcus thought about the question. Really thought about it. Yeah, he said finally. I think I am. Good. Ethan smiled sleepily. Because I'm happy too. And Mommy would want us both to be happy. She would. I love you, Daddy. I love you too, son. More than words can say. 1 year after Ethan knocked on his door, Marcus found himself standing in front of Sarah's grave. He'd avoided coming here, avoided facing the reality of her death, the finality of it. But today, on the anniversary of the night that changed his life, he knew it was time. Ethan stood beside him, holding a bouquet of wildflowers they'd picked on the way. Hi, Mommy, Ethan said, kneeling to place the flowers on the grave. I brought you presents. Yellow ones are your favorite, right? Daddy told me. Marcus watched his son talk to the headstone as if Sarah could hear every word. Maybe she could. I'm doing good in school. I got an A on my spelling test, and Daddy's garage is super busy. He's helping lots of people. Ethan paused, thinking. I miss you. Every day. But I'm not sad anymore. Not like before. Because I know you're watching. And I know you're proud of us. He stood up and took Marcus's hand. Your turn, Daddy. Marcus stepped forward. His throat was tight, his eyes burning. Hey, Sarah. His voice came out rough. It's been a year. I still can't believe you're gone. I still can't believe you trusted me with our son. He paused, gathering himself. I've made a lot of mistakes in my life. Most of them I can't take back. But the biggest mistake was walking away from you. If I'd stayed, if I'd known about Ethan. He shook his head. But I can't change the past. I can only move forward. And I promise you, Sarah, I promise on everything I am, I will spend the rest of my life being the man you believed I could be. The man Ethan deserves. He knelt and pressed his hand against the cold stone. Thank you. For loving me when I couldn't love myself, for keeping our son safe, for giving me this chance. His voice broke. I love you. I'll always love you. They drove home in comfortable silence. Ethan fell asleep in his booster seat, exhausted from the emotional day. Marcus pulled up to the cabin as the sun was setting. The sky blazed orange and gold, painting the mountains in fire. He sat for a moment just looking at his home, at the flowers in the window boxes, at the tire swing in the yard, at the sign on the mailbox that read, The Stones. This was his life now, not the violence, not the darkness, not the endless running, family, community, love. He carried Ethan inside and put him to bed. Then he sat on the porch and watched the stars come out one by one. His phone buzzed. A text from Grizzly. Proud of you, brother. Sarah would be too. Marcus smiled and typed back, Thanks for everything. Always. That's what family's for. Family. Marcus had spent most of his life running from that word, believing he didn't deserve it, believing he was too broken to ever have it. But Ethan had taught him something. Love wasn't about deserving. It wasn't about being perfect. It was about showing up. Every day. Even when it was hard. Especially when it was hard. He thought about the boy who had knocked on his door a year ago, scared, grieving, desperate for someone to love him. He thought about the man he'd been, broken, lost, ready to give up. And he thought about who they were now. Father and son. A family. Sarah had been right all along. He'd just needed someone to believe in him. Marcus Stone had spent 52 years looking for a reason to live. A 6-year-old boy had given him one, and he would spend every day he had left being worthy of that gift. The stars blazed overhead. The mountains stood silent and strong. And somewhere Marcus was certain Sarah was watching. She had sent him his purpose, his redemption, his second chance. She had sent him Ethan. And Marcus Stone, the man who had once believed he was beyond saving, had finally found his way home. Some men are given second chances. Others have to earn them. But the bravest are those who accept them when they come and spend the rest of their lives proving they were worth it. Marcus Stone was that kind of man. And Ethan Stone would grow up to be even better.